Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all well. This one will be about 20 minutes long hopefully, and we're going to start in child's pose. So just bringing your knees mat width apart, bringing your big toes together, letting your bum sink down onto your heels, bringing your hands out in front and your head coming down to the mat. If your head doesn't reach the mat, just grab a pillow or a rolled up towel or a blanket or something just to rest your head on. And just let your hips feel heavy, let your tummy relax, and just take some nice deep breaths. In through the nose, sigh out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just take a minute just to let everything relax. Keep your attention on your breath. Maybe counting your inhales, counting your exhales, just taking a moment just to bring your attention to your breath. Any thoughts that pop into your head, just let them drift away, just keep bringing them back to your breath. Letting your tummy relax. Just taking a minute just to scan your body, just checking for any tension, any aches or pains. And as always, if something doesn't feel good, don't do it. Listen to your body and just be kind to yourself. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath if it wanders. And then taking a nice deep inhale through the nose, sigh out through the mouth. And then just bringing your weight up onto your fingertips and just walking your fingertips to the right hand side. Keep your hips pressing down into your heels. Just feeling that stretch down your left side of your body. Breathing in as you walk your fingers back and then taking them over towards the left hand side. Just bringing that stretch down the right hand side of your body. Walking your fingers back and then just bringing yourself up to all fours. So we're going to do our cat-cow stretches. So your hands are underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, knees hip distance apart, and your toes can be either flat on the mat or tucked under. We're going to breathe in as we raise our head, raise our tailbone, letting our tummy fall towards the mat. Breathing out, tucking our head under, tucking our tailbone under, pushing our spine up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, head comes up, tailbone comes up. Breathing out, head tucks under, tailbone tucks under, pressing up through our hands, knees and feet. Just taking a couple more of those in your own time, with your own breath. And then just coming to rest in your neutral spine. We'll bring our right hand out to the edge of the mat, breathing in as we bring that hand back, bum coming back onto our heels, breathing out as the arm comes up and over. Breathing in, hand comes back, breathing out as we bring it over, taking some more of those. In your own time, at your own pace. Keeping your attention on your breath. One more on this side. Bringing that hand down to the mat. We'll take some on the other side. So left hand coming to the top of the mat. Breathing in as we bring that hand back, bringing our tailbone back down onto our heels. Breathing in to come back. Breathing out as we come up and over. Taking these in your own time with your own breath. One more on this side, coming back to all fours. And we'll come into our first downward dog. So just tucking our toes under, bringing our weight back onto our heels, pressing down through our hands, lifting our hips up and back towards the ceiling, pressing down into that index finger, the heel of our hand, bringing our shoulders away from our ears, giving our head a shake and a nod, and just taking a minute just to walk out our dog. So just pressing down through our heels, and then coming to rest, letting your heels sink down towards the mat, but they don't need to be touching. Keeping a bend in your knees if it helps you get your hips up and back. Just take a breath here in through the nose, sigh it out through the mouth. Bending our knees, looking towards our hands, and we're just going to walk our hands up to our feet up towards our hands, coming into our halfway lift. So we're bringing our hands to our shins, back nice and straight, head looking forward. Breathing out as we lower down into our forward fold, keeping a bend in our knees. And then breathing in as we push up through our feet, coming up to standing, hands coming up to the ceiling, hands to heart centre. We'll take a couple of sun salutations, so breathing in, hands come up, breathing out, forward fold, hinging from the hips, keeping that bend in our knees if we need. Breathing in, hands come to shins, halfway lift. Breathing out as we lower down and step our feet back into our plank position. So our fingers are spread, hands underneath our shoulders, pushing back into our heels, nice straight line from our shoulders to our heels. Always the option to drop our knees into half plank, and we're going to come down to the mat. So just lowering our chest and head down onto the mat, untucking our toes, taking a breath in as we come into our low cobra back bend. So pushing up through our hands, elbows pointing to the back of the room, just peeling our chest and head off the mat, keeping our gaze down. Breathing out as we lower down, tucking our toes under, pushing up through our hands, bringing our weight back onto our heels, hips coming up and back into our downward dog. Taking a breath here, in through the nose, out through the mouth, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, just walking our feet up to our hands, into our halfway lift. So our hands are coming to our shins, back nice and straight, head looking forward. Breathing out as we lower down into our forward fold, pushing up through our feet, hands coming up to the ceiling, hands to heart centre. Breathing in, hands coming up. Breathing out, forward fold, hinging from the hips. Breathing in, halfway lift, hands to shins, back nice and straight, head looking forward. Breathing out, lowering down into plank, taking a breath here. Lowering down to the mat, untucking our toes, coming into the back bend of your choice. Lowering down, tucking our toes under, pushing up through our hands, bringing our bum back onto our heels, lifting up and back into downward dog. Pressing down into that index finger, heel of our hand, shoulders away from our ears, head nice and relaxed, hips coming up and back. Taking a breath here, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, walking or stepping our feet up to the top of the mat into our halfway lift, bringing our hands to our shins. Breathing out as we fold forward. Breathing in, pushing up through our feet, hands coming up to the ceiling, hands to heart centre. We're going to come into our chair pose, so toes touching, heels just slightly apart. We're going to bend our knees and press our hips back as if we're sitting down on a chair. Bringing our arms up to the ceiling. Holding here for a moment. Breathing in as we fold forward. Halfway lift, hands to shins. Breathing out as we bring our hands back, stepping down into plank. Lowering down. Untucking our toes, coming into the back bend of our choice. Coming down to the mat, tucking our toes under, pushing our hips up and back into our downward dog. Taking a breath here. Bending our knees, looking towards our hands. We're going to bring our right foot between our hands and we're coming into warrior one. So our left foot is at a 45-degree angle, so 10 o'clock on the clock. Toes are pointing to the corner of the room. Keeping that bend in our knees, arms coming up into our warrior one, pressing down into both feet. Breathing in, bringing our hands down, just coming back into plank. lowering down to the mat, back bend of your choice, coming down to the mat, tucking our toes under, downward dog, bringing our hips up and back, downward dog, taking a breath here, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, bringing that left foot through, warrior one on the other side, so our right foot is at a 45-degree angle, so 2 o'clock on the clock, pointing to that top corner of the room, bending into that front knee, coming up into our warrior one, arms coming down to frame that foot, back into our plank, lowering down to the mat, back bend of your choice, lowering down, tucking our toes under, pushing our hips up and back into our downward dog, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, stepping our feet to our hands, toes together, heels apart, coming back into our chair pose, bending our knees, sitting back onto that chair, arms coming up to standing, hands to heart centre. Let's take that again, bending our knees, sitting back into our chair, arms coming up, breathing in as we fold forward, halfway lift, back nice and straight, head looking forward, breathing out, hands coming down, stepping back into plank, taking a breath here, lowering down to the mat, untucking our toes, back bend of your choice, lowering down, tucking our toes under, up and back into downward dog, taking a breath here, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, bringing that right foot through, back into our warrior one, so that left foot's at a 45-degree angle, front knees bent, pushing up into warrior one, hands coming down, stepping back into plank, lowering down to the mat, untucking our toes, back bend of your choice, coming down, tucking our toes under, pushing our hips up and back into our downward dog, taking a breath here, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, bringing our left foot through, warrior one on the other side, right toes are pointing 45 degrees, arms coming up, front knee bent, warrior one, bringing our hands down, coming back into plank, lowering down, untucking our toes, back bend of your choice, lowering down, tucking our toes under, pushing up and back into our downward dog, taking a breath here, bending our knees, looking towards our hands, bringing our feet up towards our hands, toes coming together, heels are apart into our halfway lift. Breathing out as we fold forward, breathing in, coming into our chair, knees stay bent, bum coming back as if we're sitting in our chair, arms coming up, straightening our legs, hands coming to heart centre, taking a breath here. We're going to lower down to the mat through a balance, so just staying here, feet can be hip distance apart, just bringing your hands to heart centre or onto your hips or just on a wall to balance, and we're just going to bring our weight up onto our toes. Just play around with it. If you wobble, just come back down, have another go, and we're going to bend our knees, keeping our heels raised. Whoop, bit wobbly today, coming down to the mat. And bringing your hands down, just come down to seated. Just sorting that out. So just coming into our seated twist, so a number of options for this. Left legs straight out, keeping those toes engaged and flexed, coming back to you. Right knee is bent, just hugging that right knee in, staying here if that's enough, or you might want to bring that right foot over your left leg. Staying here, or you might want to bring that left heel to your right bum cheek, so just stay wherever suits you. If you're bringing that leg in, you need to feel quite stable. So if it's making you do this, just take it back to the level before. Bringing that left arm up in the air, wrapping it round that right knee, right hand coming behind you, just looking over that right shoulder, sitting up nice and tall. Keep breathing here. Breathing in as we come back to centre. We'll take that on the other side. So just bringing both legs out, give them a shake. Keeping that right leg straight, bringing those right toes back towards you. Bending that left knee in, staying here if that's enough for you. Or you might want to bring that left foot over your right leg. Staying here. Or you might want to bring that right heel to your left bum cheek. Sitting up nice and tall. Bringing that right arm up. Wrapping it round your left knee. Left hand comes behind you. Sitting up nice and tall. Keep breathing here. Seeing if with every in-breath you can sit up a little bit taller. With every out-breath if you can twist a little bit further. Breathing in as we come back to centre. Bringing the soles of your feet together. And sitting up nice and tall again. Bringing your elbows onto your knees. And just hinging from the hips, just seeing if we can bring ourselves forward, keeping our elbows, just pressing gently on our knees, keeping that back nice and straight. So we're not collapsing our shoulders yet, we're hinging from the hips, just keeping that back nice and straight. Couple more breaths here, and then just letting your head relax, bringing your shoulders forward. Taking some breaths here. Breathing in as we come up to seated, bringing our feet out in front, sitting up nice and tall again, hands coming in front of us and just curling down through the spine, bringing yourself to lying on your mat, bringing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a hug, having a bit of a rock and roll. And then bringing your feet down onto the mat. We're going to bring our right ankle onto our left thigh. Just using our right hand to just gently press that right knee away from you, keeping that right foot flexed. Feeling that stretch in your right hip. Staying here if that's enough for you, or you might want to interlace your fingers behind that left thigh, lifting your left foot off the mat and just pulling that leg in towards you. Keeping breathing here, staying here if that's enough for you, or you might want to straighten that left leg. If you've got that left leg lifted, just bring that back down to the mat. Bring your right foot down. We'll take that on the other side. So your left ankle coming onto your right thigh. Just using that left hand to just gently press that knee away from you, keeping that left foot flexed, toes coming back towards the knee. Staying here or interlacing your fingers behind that right thigh, lifting up that right leg and just pulling that leg in towards you. Staying here or straightening that right leg. Keep breathing. Bringing that right foot down if you've got it lifted. Left foot coming back onto the mat. Just taking some windscreen wiper legs. So just feet mat distance apart. Letting your knees drop from side to side. Next time your knees fall over to the right hand side, just letting them come down towards the mat. Keeping both shoulders pressed down into the floor. Breathing in as you bring both knees up, and then just letting your knees fall down to the left hand side. Breathing in as we bring those knees back up, just hugging them back in to your chest, maybe lifting your head up off the mat, curling yourself into a little ball, and then coming down for your Shavasana. So just bringing yourself down onto the mat, Bringing your feet mat distance apart, just letting your feet fall out to the side. If that's uncomfortable for your lower back, you can keep your knees up and just let them fall in against each other. It'll just protect your lower back a little bit. And just taking a couple of minutes in Shavasana just to relax, bringing the attention to your toes, letting your toes feel heavy, releasing any tension in your feet and your ankles, letting your legs feel heavy, knees are relaxing, hips relaxing and feeling heavy on the mat, letting your tummy relax and your lower back, relaxing your chest and your upper back, letting your shoulders relax, feeling heavy on the mat. Let your arms feel heavy. Maybe you want to turn your palms up towards the ceiling and just let your fingers curl in towards your palms. Relaxing your neck, maybe turning your head from side to side. Relaxing your jaw, giving it a little wiggle. Unclenching your teeth. Letting your nose and cheekbones, eye sockets relax. Relaxing your forehead. And let your whole head feel heavy on the mat. And just enjoy the next minute. Peace and quiet, letting everything relax. Without moving, just bring your attention back to your breath. Just lengthening your inhale and your exhale. Just bringing some awareness back into your body. And then when you're ready, just gently start to move your fingers and your toes. And then just bringing that movement into your wrists and your ankles. And then if it feels okay, just bringing your feet together, bringing your arms overhead, just coming into that pencil stretch. And then bringing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a hug, a little bit of a rock and roll. And then when you're ready, just come into rest on your right hand side, using your right arm as a pillow, keeping your eyes closed if that's comfortable. Just taking some nice deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, just using that left arm to push you up to a nice comfortable seated position, keeping your eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Sitting up nice and tall, just bringing your hands to rest on your knees, taking a nice deep breath in as we bring our shoulders up to our ears, breathing out as we let them roll down our back, bringing our hands to heart centre, rubbing our palms together, creating some heat, just bringing that heat over your eyes, blinking open your eyes, bringing your hands back to centre. Thank you everybody, namaste. Have a lovely day. Stay safe.